רחמך בגלל אבות שעשו רצונך שובה אלינו בהמון רחמך בגלל אבות שעשו רצונך שעשו רצונך
And we are back, and if you see us, you see that we have right now. David is coming here, and Baruch Hashem, we are here. So David,
thank you for the warm welcome, and welcome to all you loyal listeners.
Yes, that's true.
It's been a long day, a long week, long month. We are back here, Baruch Hashem, in the studio, in the great fabled studios of jrootradio.com. And on the apps.
Jroot. Just Jroot.
Just Jroot. Right. That's the name of the app is Jroot. We've been through, a bunch of revisions. There's been Jroot Pro. There's been Jroot Radio. This one, the latest and greatest, is called just Jroot. There's what to be said about less is more. It's really a great app. It does what it's supposed to do, and it does it right. Sometimes when you have apps that little too much fluff, little too many, it's trying to address too many things at one time, and it gets nothing right. This gets trying to address one thing, provide a steady stream of our great programming, and it does it really right.
And I'll tell you, you have three options over there right now. But
you have the other two channels,
and
right.
Hebrew, and we hopefully they're doing much more on this, and the video also. We're expecting. I just want to tell you that yesterday night was the wedding of Rabbi Simcha Cohen, Dr. Rabbi Simcha Cohen's son. And,
wow.
So that's
Mazal
Tov, I want to say. And David, I want to talk about something that I know if I can, you can, but a little bit give something about global weather. And
global warming.
No, it's totally not warming today.
What do they call it? Climate change. These days they call it climate change.
Yeah, climate changing, and this is something that we all have to understand how it's working and why I'm talking about it, because really we're expecting a very, very strange summer, and I would say, hopefully I'm wrong, a very, very freezing winter. Yeah. And why I'm saying it like this, because if you look on what happened right now in the world. And you have to understand that how it's working. Basically, the volcano in Hawaii basically just throw to the air huge amount of ashes and dirt, basically lava. Yeah, the lava is the actual,
lava doesn't affect the atmosphere as much. Right.
But the dust and the air is going up to the atmosphere, and what it's doing basically, it basically create kind of film. A layer that insulated or separate the sun ray from the ocean,
Penetrating, right?
penetrated. So what happened right now? We see it, we see it very very clear that the Pacific Ocean it get lower degree, basically a low heat, direct heat to the ocean. And what happened? It changed the pressure. Change the pressure. The Atlantic Ocean as still as higher pressure than the Pacific, and create different pattern. For example, the hurricane season starting up 2 months earlier
Wow.
than it's normal, and the high pressure from the Atlantic will probably push the hurricane into the inland and give a lot of crazy rain and stuff like this. Beside this, what happened that if the temperature of the oceans will be lower, even in a fraction of a degree, it's the pressure in general all over the year we create low pressure instead high pressure, and we're expecting a very very cold very very cold winter, and the summer could be the summer also will be won't so hot like it used to be. Hopefully that I'm wrong. Hopefully, really, I'm really hopefully that I'm wrong about my prediction. But this is what I know.
Yeah, and
From
people like to debunk, especially as religious Jews, we have a more conservative view on things like this, and it's not something to be pushed under the rug. There is some kind of climate change, maybe not on the level like Dick Cheney used to, be, doing his propaganda about.
oh, this is Al Gore and all
Al
this.
Gore, yeah,
Yeah,
not
Al
Dick
Gore,
Cheney,
Al
Al
Gore,
Gore. I'm sorry.
Al Gore, and all this.
I
Yeah,
got my vice
yeah,
president.
Al Gore and all this stuff. Yes,
Not on the level
This-
they were talking about.
no,
But
no,
something
no.
that we have
This
to
is
realize
the,
that the actions that we do affect the atmosphere, affect the nature, and it's something that's very very recognized by religious Jews. Anybody who knows Parashat Noach, the people in that generation, what they did affected nature. Their sins, their immorality affected nature around them. So obviously, I'm not pointing fingers and saying anything about sins, but I'm just saying the actions that we do here, even simple things like polluting the environment, causes change.
Yes, but also if you have to look in the history of or the pattern of weather, and you see that every big war after big war from the Second World War, and like the Gulf, you see that it was a very cold winter, because the bombs and all these shells and all that raised to the atmosphere kind of
Wow.
dust film, and you see it very very clear. Even after 73 war, that in it was a small war compared to other, or volcano in Philippines, or volcano in Scandinavia, that was a problem.
By the way, you
Uh,
have all these atomic tests that they've been doing over. They don't do it so much anymore, but
yeah, but no, but
back during the Cold War
yes,
era, all
yes.
these nuclear tests.
The scientists said if it will be atomic war, it could be that 7 years, it will be unbelievable. I would say freezing
The
world.
nuclear winter. they
Yeah,
say.
nuclear winter. That's exactly. There's something without the radiation that can be affected. But you're talking about that something that we create. Like you have the windshield and it's full of dirt. You don't see the light, and that's what happened to the sun ray that penetrate, and basically the ocean is the vital. And hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, we pray that the Kadosh Baruch Hu will just clean up all this kind of
But things like this,
schmutz.
like you were saying before, like big wars, these things happen all the time.
Yes.
The Earth pattern, the weather pattern changes all the time.
But as you said,
every couple
we,
of
our
decades, every
act-
couple of
our-
centuries.
yes.
It's not like
Yes.
it's getting worse. It's changing.
Yeah, but our act is also, as you said before,
Of
our
course.
act is changing a lot of stuff, and this is something that really have to take in consideration. I don't say panics on this, but see this.
Like liberals like to panic a bit.
No, chas v'chalila. But you see, in Maryland, the torrential rain over there, that's like 1,000 years rain. 1,000 years in it. Once in a thousand
Oh, right now
years.
they just had the floods.
Yeah, you
Boston.
saw the flood.
Baltimore, I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, I saw little
unbelievable.
clips
It's
of it.
like crazy. No, this, and for example, in Israel, this time.
Yerushalayim, you had
Yeah, in this
2 weeks ago.
time of year, we didn't see rain, and suddenly you find every rain in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Baruch Hashem, we need every single drop in Israel, but
But like
it's
Choni Magal said, Rain of shalom, not
yes.
floods, not flood waters,
Yeah,
torrential
so
downpours.
let's put like this. If I can, you can. We're still waiting for your question, text. We are not Mordechai Weinberg, that you are, but we have still something that we can offer, and you can offer us. Give us some idea. Give us a call. Give a text. 718-683-5858, 718-683-5858, or text us 347-927-8398, 347-927-8398. David, you have something new about the computer just to update some listeners?
Sure.
Gauges, any gadget, anything that you
With
have?
gadgets, my focus has moved recently a little further away from hardware and more to software level computing. For example, I'm delving deeper into the world of virtual machines, virtual computing, cloud computing, virtual desktops, things like that. It's really a cool topic, and
You know what? Explain me what is the virtual,
sure.
virtual and regular.
All right,
This
let me
what.
try to put it in layman's terms.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. This is something that I always wanted to know.
so you can have the classic scenario of a computer. You have, let's say, a hardware desktop with inside you're running Intel Core processor. Just giving a classic example, Core i5, 2.4 gigahertz, dual core. Um,
This is we call it the engine,
yeah, the
and
engine,
that
the
okay,
engine, the
the engine.
CPU, which is a processor, or CPU, which is central processing unit. That is the engine, the brain of the computer, and then you have your RAM, your random access memory, which holds data that basically the processor crunches data, keeps on doing mathematical solutions, and spitting off the results. And it needs to be fed information on a constant basis. And now the RAM is what feeds the information to the processor.
RAM is
It holds the
standing
RAM
for.
stands for random access memory, what we know today as memory. Comes in DDR4. You can have 4 gigs, 8 gigs. That's the classical amount right now, between 4 to 8 gigs.
And this is like we said, the fuel
So this
for
is
the
the
engine. I would say I don't know exactly if we can compare
not
it
so
with
much
this,
fuel, but
but
it's basically it's
this
memory like in a hard drive in a way that it holds, but it's volatile. As in the second to the RAM, it loses whatever it was holding. It's temporary data and it's extremely fast, as opposed to the hard drive, which can't provide data to the processor as fast as the RAM. So there's something in between the hard drive and the processor, and the RAM, while it's sending stuff to the processor, is asking the hard drive for more things.
So 1 second, let's just. I'm tackling you with
Go for it.
quite okay. Is this is like a chip inside, or is a physical hard drive, micro hard drive?
So yeah, it's not mechanical in
It's
nature
not
at all. It's
It's
never
not.
been mechanical in nature.
It's,
It's actually people starting to get familiar with SSDs.
yes.
That's like the earliest form of SSD we've ever had, and we've had memory in its form that we have today. We've had it in that form for as far as since before I've got into computers. So it's at least 20 years, if not way more than that. So it's always basically a solid chip with you have a bunch of modules on it that contain memory, so packets of 64 or whatever it is, and this holds the data that's it's getting sent to the printer, and it's to the processor, and it's right next to the processor as well. So there's less physical distance, there's less circuitry in between it and the processor, so it has really fast access to the processor, and therefore the better memory you have, the more memory you have, is directly correlated to how fast your experience is going to be on the computer.
Uh huh.
And the next step you have under that, as we talked about, is the hard drive. The hard drive is like the big, slow guy, right? Very big guy, can have huge muscles, but it's slower. So this holds all your data, like your folders, your files, your music, your documents, your videos, whatever it is. It holds the operating system. Um, so then, of course, you have different choices of speeds. You can have SSDs, which are way faster than your classical mechanical hard drives. Um, so we're talking about virtual machines. Thinking what else should I talk about? Of course, then you have optical drives. You can have a CD player. Those are getting to the
This
world
is add,
of
this is add on,
add-ons.
right?
Yeah, yeah. But your core components is the motherboard, which holds the processor and basically holds all the circuitry, which brings everything together. And you have your RAM and your the processor, the RAM, and your hard drive. Those are the main things. Now the motherboard holds a couple other things. It holds like a video chip for processing video output. If you want to see things on your monitor, you need a separate little processor that takes care of that. Most motherboards come with an integrated one. You can have an external one if somebody's like playing video games or something, needs something a little beefier, a little more power. Usually what comes standard on the motherboard usually doesn't cut it, so they have uh, external graphics cards. Now when I say external, I don't mean outside, I mean external. It means it's a chip that you add on for extra video power.
Basically, I understand now right now. So you have like the main board, and then you have attachment to the main board,
Exactly.
and you just adding whatever you customize it for your needs.
For your needs,
Okay, right?
beautiful, beautifully put.
So now when you have like for example, you're going if you're taking the car and you put it go driving in a dune, you have put a special balloon tires, and if you're working on a graphic, you did a special graphic card that give you better resolution and better
Exactly.
speed, right?
Or somebody's creating 3D models and
Yes.
things like that for inventions and for manufacturing. They need beefier video cards.
So now we're talking. Oh, so this is okay. This is the actual machine. What what happened to the virtual?
I'm getting there. First, I have to explain the basics.
So,
You want me to start from the bottom up? I
No, no,
gotta
yeah,
do it.
yes, you're right. I understand.
So now, as our technology is getting better and better, our components are getting stronger and stronger, and people are getting more and more used to being able to work, getting their job done on smaller devices. I don't know how it started, but companies like VMware are the biggest. They're one of the biggest proponents of technology, virtual machines. The idea is you have one big, powerful computer, which we call a server. A server pretty much is any computer that does a service for other people. So we're going to call it a server from now on. It's one big. It's just a computer with really high specifications, as in a lot of RAM, very powerful processor, a lot of hard drive space, and pretty much that's what puts it together. And you have just all the motherboard and everything that holds it together. So that you still have to have a physical component in the virtual machines. And not only that, the physical component doesn't stop there. On every desk, what you have now is what's called either a zero client or a thin client. It's not like does not look like the traditional computers that most people are used to desktops. Now there's no more need for traditional desktops at each workstation at each person's desk. All they need is their monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and a little it can be a device as small as 6 by 6 inches and like an inch and a half thick.
Wow. So it's mean like basically it's like a splitter and electricity. Just plug it in and bye bye. You know,
On a
right?
very basic
On the
level, yes.
basic
On
level,
a very
right?
basic
Yes,
level,
the
yes.
basic level, and that's it.
So basically, so this little device does not need to have the capacity. Doesn't need to have a lot of RAM. It does not need to have a powerful processor. All it needs to act, its simple function is to be like the bridge between you and the server, and to provide the computing experience that the server is giving you. So that's your little hub right here, where you can plug in your USBs, and all your computing is not taking place on that box. The computing is taking place on the server side. The server holds multiple virtual machines for each person to have their personal desktop, their personal files and folders, and it would seem as if they're saving and working on the computer in front of them. In fact, the monitor and the thin client or zero client, what they have is just projecting and bringing forth what the server is giving you, which in this case is a virtual machine. And the person who creates, the network administrator that creates the virtual machines, they can say that, okay, every virtual machine, let's say I have 32 gigs in the server, and I want to make 4 virtual machines. I can say every virtual machine has 4 gigs of RAM and this amount of processing power. And the person at the end of the day sitting at his desk does not know that they don't have a desktop, with RAM and processor and everything else.
Okay, so basically, once again, the programmer decided to which station or to which location to give as much as they want. Let's say the one is
Exactly.
8, one is 4, one is like need only one. So this I would design it,
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
Yeah,
And you can create, scale. The scale is endless. You can create different pools. You can say, okay, these 20 desktops are for the billing department, and I'm going to set up the specifications of this and this amount because that's what they need to get their job done. And then I have the marketing department. They do graphics. I need them to need them to be able to utilize our our graphics processing power more efficiently. So I'm going to provide this amount of resources for them and different but pretty much that's how you break it down, depending on the network administrator how they decide to break things up. But that's pretty much what virtual machines are. Instead of having each person having a bulky desktop, you can have one piece of hardware holding everything. Big monster that has huge amount of resources. Well, obviously relative to the situation, huge for some people could be 32 gigs of RAM. For other people, can be 128. Um, and you allocate them according to how you need them, how they need to be used. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, pretty much.
well,
Give you
I
a
know
skeletal view.
we get, we get some kind of idea about this virtual machinery.
Virtual environment, and yeah, and
And
if you remember Nissim back in the day, like we have in the closet over there,
yeah,
racks and racks of servers, each
yeah.
one performing a different task. You don't need that today. Now you just need one really powerful server, and you can create.
We still need it.
Yeah, but you create virtual machines,
Yeah.
basically separate operating system environments that you don't want to intermingle with other operating system environments because you want each one to perform a certain task, and it's better if you don't overcrowd that allocated processing speed to too many tasks. So this is where you segregate your tasks in an efficient way, and you don't need so many blades, or as they call them, the servers that you would stick in the blade system or rack servers. So it's saved space as well.
So just to remind our number, 718-683-5858, 718-683-5858, or text us 347-927-8398, 347-927-8398. This is David and Nissim. David and Nissim, if I can, you can. Any question you have opportunity right now to ask question about computers and networking and all the rest. Basically, we just to give some highlight of virtual machine and computer, general computer
Hmm.
idea. And David, I remember that when I was student
Hmm.
in the university, and it was like the beginning of the computers,
Yeah, yeah.
really beginning, and that only the government or this has a huge like basically
Super.
computers.
We call supercomputers. It's
Yeah,
not supercomputers. It was just
it was
they were
like
gigantic.
it was
Everything had.
gigantic. It's
Yeah.
really in the beginning was on the tapes, like tapes, like I don't know if the new generation see this even the like the small cassette today. It almost
Your
people
hardest,
don't know.
even audio cassettes
Yeah,
people don't
audio
see.
cassette you don't see almost you
Yeah.
don't see it. So this is like huge tape, wheels that they're running over there, and you have to go back and forth. And this machine was with a lot of lights and noise and like this. Uh, and
Before the microchip.
after was like the carton cards that was all punching in this.
Right, it would punch
Yeah.
it would return
Yes, and
on
you
the
put the
cards. Yeah.
information in the cards, and the cards with the photoelectric, and then they come I remember the first computer that like the Sinclair, and was tiny, like I think it was like 14 kilo. Yeah, something this
And
14
that was like,
kilo.
wow, it's so small.
Yeah, 14 kilo. Yeah. And you could, that and DOS it was the operational
DOS,
system
yeah.
DOS. And then later we come this, what do you call it? What is that?
That's
Eh,
before my generation is
yeah,
even.
that's okay. And then the IBM come with a 128, and it was like it was crazy. Commodore.
Commodore,
Commodore,
yes.
Commodore, yeah, Commodore was this. I remember my first computer cost me $4,000, and it was IBM 128.
Wow.
And the disc, the
But those were marvels of technical engineering. You don't you can't in order to fix something, you had to know a lot.
Yeah,
So
definitely. This is like that's today you can.
you can't weld
And
things
it
inside
was
a
big.
computer
It was
today.
big machine. It was and the university we had the Macintosh.
Nice.
The Macintosh with the
First
Apple II.
Macintosh.
It was Apple II was the but
The big deal. It was the
big
big
deal.
deal.
Yeah, big deal. It was a big deal. But the screen in the Mac was if you want to work on a graphic,
Hmm.
so it wasn't a software that you basically flip it over or turn it off. You have to flip physically the screen. The
No.
screen has like an inch in the
Really,
center,
you had to physically
and
move the screen around in order to view different
yeah, yeah.
angles.
Basically, when you work on a graphic design or the plans on the house, so you want to see how it look like, the proportion. So you used to take the screen and flip it over, and the software.
Wow.
So today the software is unbelievable. I remember
Yeah.
that AutoCAD released one, AutoCAD released two. I don't know today
What year was that? The first AutoCAD?
it's 80, 82,
Wow.
84. I graduate. We already had the Macintosh.
Right, that's what they started
Apple.
doing, like visual effects in movies,
Yeah, yeah. It's like
computer
I was.
CGI effects,
I
because they didn't
remember.
have the technology before that.
Yeah. So uh, and really, it's amazing to see. 88. IBM come with IBM 128, something
Wow.
like this, yeah, or 268. This was like unbelievable. And we used to build it by ourselves, basically, taking the parts and when
Fun
uh,
stuff. Yeah, there are people that still,
you still do it.
as a hobby, more like just
Yeah.
to.
Today, I don't think that
If we get really
economy. I don't think you
economically,
can.
yeah, it's not. Yeah,
It's not.
it's a hobby. Try to repair them, get them to working order.
Yeah,
Um,
we're doing it every day in the in Jerry audio.
yeah.
Almost every day. When David is not here.
I try.
Okay, so if I can, you can. I
For
just
those of you tuning in right now, this is the If I Can You Can show with Nissim and David. We have 15 minutes left of the show. If you want to call in with any and all of your technical questions, whether it's home improvement, plumbing, heating, computers, electrics, automotive, we have your back. Call now, 718-683-5858. Once again, that's 718-683-5858, or text 347-927-8398. Once again, the number to text in your question is 347-927-8398. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let me just put music.
שמיים זה מזה וכולו מקבלים מקבלים עליהם המלכות שמיים זה מזה וכולו מקבלים מקבלים עליהם המלכות שמיים זה מזה 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 מלכות שמיים זה מזה 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 וכולו מקבלים מקבלים עליהם המלכות שמיים זה מזה זה מזה זה מזה זה מזה וכולו מקבלים מקבלים עליהם המלכות שמיים זה מזה זה מזה זה מזה זה מזה ולא יסנים ביעבו ביעבו אישו זה לא זה זה לא זה זה לא זה ולא יסנים ביעבו ביעבו אישו זה לא זה זה לא זה זה לא זה וכולו מקבלים מקבלים עליהם המלכות שמיים זה מזה 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 מלכות שמיים זה מזה 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 וכולו מקבלים מקבלים עליהם המלכות שמיים זה מזה זה מזה זה מזה זה מזה ולא יסנים ביעבו ביעבו לשוס זה לא זה זה לא זה זה לא זה ולא יסנים ביעבו ביעבו לשוס זה לא זה זה לא זה זה לא זה
Aleph is Emunah, Beis is B'tachon, Gimel is Geula.
Aleph Beis Gimel Emunem B'tochen Brei Aleph Beis Gimel Emunem B'tochen Brei Ui Aleph Beis Gimel Emunem B'tochen Brei Aleph Beis Gimel Emunem B'tochen Brei Aleph Beis Gimel Aleph Beis Emunem B'tochen Brei Aleph Beis Gimel Aleph Beis Emunem B'tochen Brei Ui Aleph Beis Gimel Aleph Beis Emunem B'tochen Brei Aleph Beis Gimel Aleph Beis Emunem B'tochen Brei Kilik Yeval Shalang Yeval Jeden alle Straß Brei 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 Tigi Yule Gein Beshoyin Ahei Brei 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 Tigi Yule Gein Beshoyin Ahei Aleph Beis Gimel Brei Brei Tigi Yule Ay 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 Brei 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 Tigi Yule Gein Beshoyin Ahei Brei 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 Tigi Yule Gein Beshoyin Ahei Emunem B'tochen Brei Brei Tigi Yule Ay 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 Jerusalem gewalt, jeden alles schreit. Bring die Gehule, kein mich schön nachher. Bring die Gehule, kein mich schön nachher. Alle Bett gehen und bring die Gehule, ai, ai, ai. Bring die Gehule, kein mich schön nachher. Bring die Gehule, kein mich schön nachher. Alle Bett gehen und bring die Gehule, ai, ai, ai. Ai, ai, ai. Ai, ai, ai. Tiri-rai, lai, lai, la. Tiri-rai, lai, la, da, 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 mai, ai, ai. Ai, ai, ai. Tiri-rai, lai, lai, la. Ai, ai, ai.
Jetzt war der Mutter. Bang, El mundo.
Bring die Gehule, kein mich schön nachher. Bring die Gehule, kein mich schön nachher. Alle Bett gehen und bring die Gehule, ai, ai, ai. Bring die Gehule, kein mich schön nachher. Bring die Gehule, kein
Yes, Aleph, Bet, Gimel.
Bring the Geula, bring the Geula. צריכים את הגאולה.
Yeah, we need the Geula. Okay,
That's
so
Hashem.
David, we have only...
Welcome back to the If I Can You Can show. There is 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left to the show. To all of those of you tuning in right now, wow, it's getting really late. I can't even speak normally.
Yeah.
To everybody tuning in right now, this is the If I Can You Can show, the technical form of J Radio, and we are here waiting to answer any and all of your technical questions: plumbing, heating, cooling, home improvement, computers, networking, security, whatever it is. Give us a call, 718-683-5858, 718-683-5858, or text
Okay,
347-927-8398. But
I
we'd
think-
rather
I think
talk to
we
you.
don't, I don't know if you have time to answer the question right now, but let's you can text us and we can answer later on. Anyway, this is David. We can go and conclude this show,
I guess so, yeah.
and we are just going to work a little bit on our computer, hopefully, when you have a little bit time, and that's it. So, to our dear listeners,
Thank you
very
so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your texts, your calls, and your support.
Yeah, hopefully.
Laila Tov.
Laila
See you next time. This time next week was at the show.
Be'ezrat Hashem.
בשם השיר שחדש ייבנה ובננננה ובננננה ייבנה אורח המונה נקדש יספרח ויסלם אורח המונה נקדש יספרח ויסלם ייבנה ייבנה המקדש ייבנה המקדש יציין ייבנה המקדש, יציון תמלא, ושם נשיר שיר חדש וביר נעננה. ייבנה המקדש, יציון תמלא, ושם נשיר שיר חדש וביר נעננה. ייבנה ייבנה, ייבנה ייבנה, ייבנה המקדש, ייבנה המקדש, ייבנה ייבנה, ייבנה ייבנה, ייבנה המקדש, ייבנה המקדש, ייבנה
Anywhere, anytime, for everyone. This is jrootradio.com.
Chapter 82.
מזמור לאסף אלוהים ניצב בעדת אל בקרב אלוהים ישפוט עד מתי תשפטו עוול ופני רשעים תשאו סלע שפטו דל ויתום עני ורש הצליחו פלטו דל ואביון מיד רשעים הצילו לא ידעו ולא